to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. I am Christy Winter Scott, joined as always by my girl. Listen, Helen Williams is back in the building. And Helen, listen, I gotta take my jacket off because there's so much going on. The fee fire. We gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it like everybody else.
Of course.
But wowza, my God. I mean, we have our two finalists going for the title, but there were some exit meetings in many that we need to discuss, Helen. First of all, how are you, buddy? You doing well?
Sis, I'm great. I'm great. I watched that game last night and I was like, nah, let me just go to bed. But I was like, no, I better stay up and watch it. And we can talk about that later. But let's just say I slept in this morning.
I did, but I stayed up all night, and watched it in the post game, everything. But I only need about 3-4 hours, and I'm back at it.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. You're one of those super moms with kids and work, and I don't know how you do it. I need my sleep.
See, no, but that's what happened. Those kids, and then now my antennas are like, whoop, I can't rest. Anyway, but I will say another young lady who cannot rest is Nafisa Collier, because when that paper got unfolded,
she meant business. She meant business.
All of it. And, there was some editing, probably some forethought, some afterthought to what she had transcribed on that paper that she pulled out and read from. But initially, when you heard that from Fee, what was your assessment of not only, the main factors of it, but the entire thing, the all-encompassing message from Nafisa Collier, in your estimation, was what?
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm not surprised. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Her grandfather negotiated with Sierra Leone their departure from colonization, and so it's in her blood to be a leader.
Talk to me about that. Because I was
her grandfather was I don't want to get too much into details, but he was he helped negotiate the departure's the wrong word, freedom's the wrong word, but of Sierra Leone from I want to say it was England. I could have the history wrong, but anyway, so that they could be an independent country, and he was very involved in the negotiations for that. So that's why I say doesn't fall far from the tree in terms of her lineage, in terms of her sense of responsibility, and she has the platform. So when you have a platform, I think you have a responsibility to use it appropriately for those who may or may not have a voice. And so I wasn't surprised. I think she and the players have leverage. And so, when you're negotiating, you got to use what you got. And I think it just seemed to me that she was just fed up. Like that whole thing was like, we've been trying this, and this, and it's not working, and you guys aren't listening. So I'm going to have to put you on blast so that you have to respond. And then we'll go from there.
What was your take on the response from the league office and Kathy?
I thought it was muted on purpose. Because it read like, we don't want people to read too much into this. We're just going to respond because everybody is going to want us to respond. So we'll just give a muted response until we figure out what we really want to say.
Right. And what if you were in that spot, right, as the WNBA front office and the inner workings there, how would you respond to that? Because, obviously, there are things to iron out, which is why the CBA is still up in the air and not agreed upon yet, because of the discussions that happened before the season even started. Okay, so let's get that straight. But right now, with this situation and the verbiage from Nafisa Collier and all of the truth that she put on the paper from her perspective, what would you say to that if you are the powers that be, and why let that simmer? And why not just, if you have an answer for it and your estimation was that it was muted, why not just come right back and say what you need to say? with your whole
Well,
chest. Like, just say it.
yeah, when I say muted, I mean they didn't really have anything to say, weren't sure how to respond, and so we got to get our PR people involved
Oh, okay.
so that we can respond appropriately. But we have to put something out now that's in some response, and
I see.
all this stuff's coming out about Kathy Engelbert, this, that, and the other, and she is the commissioner, so the question is, who does she work for, right? Who is she working for? She's mediating these conversations, negotiation between the owners and between the players.
Right.
And so, how does she straddle that line? Is she not doing a good job of straddling that line, finding some
Right.
commonality? Is she not being transparent enough?
Right.
Which seems to be the perception of the players. And so um, I, I don't know her personally. I just know that that's not a good spot to be in right now, because you're gonna take the brunt of whatever is negative coming the way of the owners in the negotiations.
Exactly. And, post game with Las Vegas last night, Asia Wilson doubled down with Fee. Didn't they have a podcast of Tea with Fee or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
So, I mean, still, I, after the game last night, that they had to fight through overtime with Indiana Fever, and we will discuss and unpack that and dissect it for sure, tactically speaking and schematically on the court, but off the court. Asia Wilson said, "Listen, I'm with her." And she was very disparaged by the comments and the response from league offices and Kathy Engelbert. What's your take on what Asia Wilson had to say about it?
Well, I think all of the players are going to be with Nafisa Collier, like that. None of the positive things that they said, the sense of support, none of that surprises me. And she's another one who has a platform, and she just wants to amplify, what Nafisa said as well. So
Mhm.
none of that surprises me. I suspect that this has been brewing for a while,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so now, people feel free, now that Nafisa's opened the door, to say their piece and to support her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. She kicked that thing open. Like, yeah, not just one.
Wide open.
Yeah, the first kick, it didn't quite get. I can't see my worst kick didn't, but that second kick, man, she knocked it all the way open. But when you're looking at the voices, okay, of the players, and I saw a myriad of responses from several players, not just the veterans or the semi vets that have been in the league, more than 5, 6, 7 years, but a collective voice from the players in the league seemed to be, doubling down on it and snapping it out and just staying in lockstep with those words that Nafisa said. Now, with that being said, Caitlin Clark's name was mentioned by Nafisa Collier as a sideline discussion with Kathy Engelbert and Nafisa Collier, and there was a lot to be said about how she wouldn't have made the 10 million or 16 million whatever dollars without the presence of the WNBA. Uh, and that Nafisa said that that's what Kathy Engelbert said. Caitlin Clark said no comment, right? So is that, and I understand, like, you don't have to, like, I think social media has gotten to a point where you got to say something. Like, you can't just, see it and keep it moving and go about your day. But when you do have a platform and a voice, I mean, it is up to you to make a decision whether you are going to respond or not, or semi respond, or have a muted response, or nothing at all, which is also a loud statement. But with Caitlin Clark saying no comment, what do you take from that response? And, it's not, I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what it is, which was hashtag no comment, or a hashtag noted. Um, what do we take from that response from her?
I think Caitlin, as soon as she entered the league, has always thought to be very careful about what she says
Mhm.
because she has such a big following, and there are people that want to put certain narratives on her in other areas. And I think probably from her, it was she said something, but she didn't say it, right? She said noted,
Right.
right? And so you also don't want to respond until you have more information. So I don't think she'd want to put herself out there without gathering any information. But I also think that that was very calculated by Nafisa Collier,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And who's to say she didn't give Caitlin a heads up and Angel a heads up and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this,"
Uh,
and you know what I mean? So we don't know because we're not privy to those conversations. But I know Caitlin understands that anything she does, what time she goes to sleep, what she eats, what she wears, like, is so amplified because of the nature of her existence in the WNBA that she does have to be very thoughtful and strategic with what she says.
No doubt, no doubt. But to your point, don't all the players? I mean, I know that Caitlin Clark's following is what it is in the fandom, and that Nike deals and Gatorade and State Farm and all the things, which is awesome for the sport. And a lot of that happened while she was at Iowa. A lot of it happened before the WNBA, when the NIL thing changed midstream of
Hmm.
collegiate career. So let's put a pin in that notion right there. But other players had a lot to say, again, whether they were vets, rookies, or anywhere in between. And I know maybe the difference is because Caitlin Clark has more of a marketing voice and leverage in that way. But some of the other players who said something also have some leverage in that same vein. So,
Yeah,
what's the difference in being careful with what you're saying, even if it's hashtag noted, or coming out and saying, yeah, clock that and let's go fee and all the things. What's the difference in terms of players with equal leverage on the marketing side of things, outside of hoops and all of that? What's the difference in them saying we're in full support and then noted? What's the difference in that?
because I think let's take Asia for instance. 4 MVPs, right? 2 championships. Asia's been in the league for 8 years, and I think she's found her voice. Right?
Okay.
She's gotten to the point where she's like, I'm gonna say what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it.
Yeah.
Caitlin's been in the league for 2 years, so I'm not absolving her of having an opinion, but I
Okay.
don't know that she has found her voice yet in terms of how she wants to say things and how she wants to say things and what she wants to say. These other veterans have been in the league for a while too, and they're like, "Hey, I'm jumping on this bandwagon. I'm supporting. We've got leverage now. I'm going to say what I need to say." So I think that's a big part of it too. Not just and when I say marketing, I don't necessarily mean Caitlin's afraid of not having a Nike deal, right? Like I just think she doesn't know what her voice is right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't say she doesn't have an opinion. I'm sure she does,
Okay.
but I'm not sure she is. I'm not sure she knows how she wants to share that opinion. Like she, a couple times last year, she said stuff when people were trying to put a narrative on her,
She did.
from a racial aspect. She just said, "Hey, this isn't right." Yada yada yada. My favorite players, Maya Moore. Da da da. Like that's how she responded.
She did.
Whereas maybe here in another year or so, when she finds her voice, she might be a little stronger with a type of statement like that. That's what I meant.
Okay. Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it. I just wanted to clarify that, just how I heard it, and just make sure I understood exactly what you meant on that, which I understand. But there are other players who aren't wily vets that have voiced their opinions, and have found their voices.
Yeah.
Paige Becker's being one. I mean, rookie of the year this year, and came out, seemed to be in full support of what Nafisa Collier had to say about the league and where the league is going. I mean, she just put her baby toe in it this year. I mean,
Yeah,
she's got to run
yeah,
with.
but she's been like that since college. Like she's had her voice early, when she was accepting her SB, she was saying, "Hey, we need more media attention for Black women, yada yada yada." So it's a difference in personality, and she's been like that since she's been in college. So I think it's an individual thing
Right.
that you're going to hear that, and then you're also hearing comments from athletes from other sports because this whole CBA negotiation is going to be huge for women's sports in general, not just basketball, but for women's sports in general, a la the like when the soccer team got equal pay, it took them forever. That impacted what's happening with the with the other leagues and their collective agreements. And
Mhm.
I don't know since the soccer team had that kind of leverage. I don't know that there's been another entity that's had as much leverage
No,
as the WNBA players right now
no.
because Nafisa said it. You guys are getting 250, $300 million, for new franchises, and there's a couple franchises now that have $500 million valuation. And how did you get there? You got there on our backs. And so there's some leverage there. And then here's the thing, the other unrivaled is just it's just
About that.
she knows how to run a league. She
Mhm.
knows what the numbers should look like. She knows what kind of transparency you should have. So it's
Yep.
not like she's coming from this from as a novice. Like she's part of a league that she started, and so she understands what they should be asking for. And so there's some leverage there too, because you're not just talking to somebody that doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes.
No doubt. And for the Unrivaled League that she co-owns with Brianna Stewart, right? With Stewie, what is that to see that league grow as exponentially strong as it did from year one to year two with their overall valuation of what was it, 37 million, and now it's 450 million? Like,
Yeah, yeah, triple yeah, that's a tremendous ROI
what?
for the investors.
Oh,
Tremendous.
it's insane, right? So if your fee, right? Let's just put our fee hat on right now, right? If your fee and you as a business owner, right, have seen what happens when you pour into a league with the TV rights, with TNT and all the things, right? And then see it jump from 37 million to 450 million in less than a year. There's some kind of confidence that that has to put into you as a businesswoman to know that you have, number one, the business acumen to understand that there is a place for women's sports and women's basketball in the marketing realm of things, and people want to be there. People want to be watching the games on TV. People want to be in seats and have their butts in seats and cheer for these epically competitive women who are out there sacrificing their bodies and time, right? But finally getting their flowers. So for her to be able to see that in the Unrivaled League in less than a year grow the way that it has grown, that's where she based her comments on. That's where I think she came from with all the things that she said about this is what can happen when we invest the same way.
Yeah, I don't think anything she said was uncalculated I think everything was calculated. I think everything was strategic. I think she thought about it for a while. Probably wanted to do it a while ago, but wanted to pick the right place and time to spark conversation. I mean, the 31st of October, today's the 1st, the 31st is the day that the collective bargaining ends, and so
Yeah.
she put them on a clock. She put them on a clock, put them on blast, to say you guys weren't listening, and from the normal everyday person's perspective, you are going, okay, you got all these millions of dollars.
Mhm.
Where is it going? And why are you saying that you cannot pay the players? Why are you saying that you cannot give them what they need in terms of salary, in terms of and again, it's not about the salary, it's about the percentage of the revenue, right? And everybody, people that don't want this to happen, well, they're not making any money. That's not the players' problem. The players are they're creating the revenue, and it's up to you to figure out the profit piece, right? And so as more money comes in, and you start as a league commissioner saying, "Hey, we're great. We're so great that all these people want to be a part of us, and they all want to pay a lot of money, and we have this TV deal." Okay, then why aren't the players getting some of that, which is what they're asking for?
Right. And I think to your point, is it which came first, the chicken or the egg situation here? Because the players, like you said, like it's being done on their backs and shoulders from the beginning of the league. Okay. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. And don't get me started on Title IX because I don't know how long BMAC's going to let us be on. But however, there's been some massive growing that the WNBA has done, right? But which came first, the chicken or the egg, in terms of, who's working for who out here? Like, I think that's the question that we need to answer. Like, both are should be working for one another at the end of the day. Like, it should be something that is like defense, right? Everybody's on the same page, everybody's on the string, everybody's rotating at the same time. But you can't have a late rotation. And I feel like right now in basketball speak, which I do all the time with everything I do, but in basketball speak, is it that we're having a bad rotation on defense in terms of everyone on the same page with this? Because which did come first, right? How are we getting this thing going? Because we all want the same thing. And I know Kathy Engelbert played college basketball. Like, she understands what being on a team is. She understands the business acumen. She got the league through COVID down in the Wubble in Bradenton, Florida. I mean, there's been moments of support. So I get that. But at the same time, it has to be consistent. And you can't have several late rotations, if you will. Got to be together in order for the team to move the right way and win.
Here's what I have always said about investment in sports. On the men's side, they will invest the money and say, let's see if we can make some money. On the
Okay.
women's side, they'll always say, well, let's see if we can make some money. Then we'll give you some more money.
Ah,
So the way that you look at investment in women's sports is starting to change now, because it really is about, all of a sudden you have these team owners who want to get into this because they know that there's revenue there. There's revenue from ticket sales, merchandise, concessions, and they want to make their money back. And it's worth them to pay $250, $300 million because they know over time their ROI, based on everything that's happened and the explosion of women's sports. People have figured out what we already always knew. If you just invest, there's money to be made, right? And so I think that that's part of the push and pull too. And everybody wants to cry poor. There's money there. There's money there. Just like when you and I were coaching in college, and they would say, well, we don't have anything in the budget. I'm like, there's money in the budget for what you want, right? There's always money under the mattress. So to me, I think you're right. It's pull the trigger, right? Give the players what they deserve. And you would think that they were asking for 100% of the revenue. They're not. They just want something that is fair. That's the operative word that you always hear. We just want fair market value. That's it. It's not like we're asking for 100% of everything that you make, because they do understand that the league, and Kathy likes to use this word, sustainability. Okay. Well, it's hard to sustain if the players aren't playing. So y'all need to figure that out.
Yeah. And I hope that doesn't happen, Helen. We love the game, and there's so many fans, and these players play year round because of the love of the game. So I really hope on Halloween that's not scary hours for the league and the bad thing happen, and we can't watch these just extremely talented women out there hooping. I just, that would be such a nightmare for the momentum of the league and for women in sports in general across the board. I just cannot fathom that happening. So hopefully they can, come to grips with some kind of middle ground and agreement to just get it together. But it has to be something where there's respect. And I just feel like that part of the equation is missing from what Fee said, right? And
Right.
what I read, man, listen, that didn't sound great for the support of the league that has given the fans what they have wanted to see. And that is the top level, elite level, top tier competitors who are playing with passion, fire, and competitive spirit on every single possession, right? And like you said, they're not asking for the world or 100% of the revenue, but they do want to be just rewarded, right? And they're not going to, and it's for women. I will say this: women aren't going to say, but what about me? Because I know as a mom of three, listen, I'm just now, as all the kids are out in college and so on, I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want because I'm worried about everybody else. What do y'all want to eat? Where do y'all want to go? What do you want? And now they're not around. So I'm like, well, daggone, what do I want? I get myself in the loop. And I think as women, we leave ourselves out. And it's unfortunate because that's how society is kind of built. Hey, you're supposed to lift people, but you also have to include yourself in that lifting. And I think right now, to hear Nafisa, who is also a mama, right? Her own baby,
Hmm.
like she understands, like, hey, I am definitely there for my baby. I'm gonna lift her up. I'm gonna encourage her. I'm gonna be there for her. But she also has to do that when she looks herself in the mirror. And if she feels that there's something slipping or there's something that is not quite right in terms of the support that she is pouring into her own self and to her own daughter, that needs to be poured into the league that she loves so much and the league that the fans want to see be sustained, right? Because of the future that is right there for these collegiate level players, these high school level players who are watching, right? They're watching to see, are they going to respect us yet, right? And I think
Yeah,
that,
and that's why I say that this is a monumental moment in women's sports in general at every level because the the players are united. They are 10 toes down. I firmly believe that if they don't get what they want, now in every negotiation there's some give and take, but I
right,
firmly believe if they don't get their non-negotiables, which they have to have if the league's going to grow, uh, they're 10 toes down. They will not play, and I don't think they're going to blink.
right.
Um, so we'll see what happens. I mean, it could be a case where there's always the option of extending what they have now past the 31st if they don't find anything on the 31st. But I just think that there is a sense of urgency, especially after her comments yesterday. Now
Yeah.
to get this done in 4 weeks with what should have been done with the conversations they've had, over the last year or so.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it needs to be discussed, and I don't know when the meetings occur. I don't know, who all is on the board on either side of it, like 100% of the names and whoever. But whatever happens, if something happens to the momentum of the growth of women in sports, I think I am just going to be beside myself because of what we saw as players and coaches, right? Of this beautiful sport that we love. I just don't want that to be sacrificed by the next generation of players, right? And now they have to come in as fighters instead of coming in and lifting the ones up behind them, right? Into an environment where they feel the respect, they feel the support, and not just financially. Okay, we're talking about, man. If you're having a bad day, Helen, man, you all right? I'm gonna call you. Are you good, Helen? You did something great, Helen, man. Congratulations. I mean, there has to be that level of respect and connectivity and selflessness in terms of that continuance of lifting in women sports. And I think that's what we just have to concentrate on as well. So it's not, yes, it is about the finances and the bottom line in terms of the budget and all the things and all the non-negotiables that you were talking about. But I think there also has to be some things included in that. And that's to see the women as people. Like we're out here, like there are moms, working moms, and there are people playing year round, going overseas, sacrificing time with their families, whether they have kids or not, but they're sacrificing time with their loved ones, right? For the love of the game because they want to hoop. They just want to hoop, but they also want to do that on a platform where they are seen for every bit of who they are, not just the bucket getters, not just the pick and rollers, but who are these women, right? Who are sacrificing year round. I just think that there needs to be a light on that a little bit more. Put the hot light on that aspect of what's happening right now. And boy, what a detriment that would be to this the rise and the expansion teams in the WNBA. Like, what are we bringing them into? Like, we need to understand as women that we need to form the unified fight of the togetherness, number one, but also of the respect. And I keep coming back to that word respect, Helen, because I really feel like now the public has seen and respected women in sports more, but we have to do that introspectively as well, as a collective unit and a collective group. Like it can't just be like, give us this, give us that. No, like we're all in here, like respect both sides. Like we have to understand where each other are coming from. And maybe there are things, like you said, like business wise that we don't know about. I don't know. We're not privy to all of the information and the X's and O's in the boardrooms and the financial side of things. But I tell you what, man, I mean, Unrivaled came up with 450 million reasons why there's some money.
Yeah,
And
listen, I think
I,
the word you used was selfless, and I
Mhm.
think that first of all, again, when are you going to have this much leverage? You know, if you're the players, and they understand that they have to do this. This
Yeah,
is not a
everybody.
want to do this. They have to do this for
Yeah.
the players that are coming behind them. This is like when you and I were coaches and we had to go to the athletic director and we had to fight for certain things for our
Hey,
players because the players have to have this. And
yeah.
if that means that I have to give more of myself for them to have that, like you as a mom, you have to give more of yourself so that your kids have a better life. Like this is to me what that is. Like we're
Woo.
standing on the shoulders of the Cheryl Swoots and Lisa Leslie's and all those folks who didn't make any money, but they pushed the league forward enough so that we could get to this point. Now we have to do that for the next set of players, the next generation that's coming up. If we don't do it now and we don't fight,
Yes.
um, then that well, I didn't even say it. They can't not do it. Like they
Yeah.
have to do that right now.
They have to do it right now. And to your point, wow, I mean, you're preaching. You are preaching to the I'm the choir. You are preaching to the choir back there singing. I'm on the third verse of the song. Listen, you have just said a word right there. The sacrifice. Listen, I wore this shirt today. I have, see Vivian Stringer. Look at all the coaches on there.
All the greats, the
All the
greats.
greats. But see Vivian Stringer, and you probably know this story too. When she first started coaching, she went into the church houses and took up collection for her team to get sneakers
Yeah.
to play basketball in. So this is what I'm talking about, right? Cheney State had no shoes for their women's basketball program. So what did Vivian Stringer do? She knocked on the church door, got up on the pulpit, and said, "We're going to need some help getting our team some shoes to play in." Are you kidding me?
Can you imagine that? There's no
No.
way that the kids that are playing now, like that wouldn't even cross their mind that why are we not how is it possible that people didn't go at the beginning of the season and go look in their locker and it's just full of stuff for the season?
All the things, and that's where I think you take that for granted, right? I recently just saw my college coach Chris Weller from Maryland, Hall of Fame coach, right? And she would tell us all these stories. I didn't know about all these sacrifices. I didn't know about driving vans, and feeding the team peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I know it's probably taking you all the way back, but it's because of those
Not
kinds of
that far back
sacrifices.
though. Not that far back.
Oh, not that far back, but yeah. But when you hear those kinds of stories now, to your point about
It's
players,
like ridiculous when you think about it.
they don't get it. They don't understand that those are the seedlings to what is happening right now, right? So that's why that fight needs to be precise and
Yeah, they
concise.
have to do this. They have to do this.
That part. They have to do it. Like there cannot be any like, well, maybe so there can't be any willy-nilly. Like we got to get the job done, right? For the sacrifices that were made years ago by so many. And the list goes on and on. But there has to be an understanding of where you came from, which is what C. Vivian Stringer always told me. I love sitting next to her and talking to her. And oh my God, she was just pouring into me all of that history, all of those sacrifices that were made. But she said you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. So maybe there's not an understanding of where we all came from in terms of what is happening now in women's sports. We just take it for granted that boom, all these numbers, all people are watching, and all these 450 million of the unwrapped. Okay, But do you know from whence that came? Like, do we know the watering that had to occur years ago by so many? Do we understand the consistency of that and the unified togetherness of that that happened years ago? That's where we need to get back to. Both sides need to get back to understanding that we're in this together to strive and keep this league alive and moving forward. Like and the fight is real. It is real, but it is necessary by both sides to get this job done and move this league forward in the way that it's going. I mean, it's a groundswell that does not need to swell and then go away. Like, we need to groundswell and continue to lift it higher for the next generation of players coming behind. It's going to, I got the vein popping on the side of my
No,
head.
no, no, yeah, I mean, you go from Vivian Stringer to,
It's,
the news that I heard yesterday that in 2028 they're going to move the women's Final Four to Lucas Oil Stadium,
how about that?
another 13,000 more, seats, and you see the sold out for the Valkyries, like 18,000 every, so
Every game.
that progress, you cannot stop that progress. You have to keep that progress going.
Yeah, you have to cultivate it. And to your point, that Lucas Oil Stadium, in 2028, our producer BMAC, he said you're going to need some binoculars in that thing because it's going to be.
Some people won't care though. They just want to be there. They just want to be there.
They want to be there, but they are. It's a foreshadowing, right? So they know. I mean, that's 3 years from now. You understand? So
Exactly.
you're
Yep.
already looking down the road like that and planning for 13,000 more seats in 2028. So you know that there's growth ahead. So let's just all understand that the players who are going to be playing in that Final Four want to come into a league where they also see that there's going to be
Exactly.
growth and the continuance of positive togetherness that is the example of moving it forward, right?
Yeah.
And past it, man. We could be on here for 2 or 3 hours, Helen, because it just means so much to me. I know it means an incredible amount to you. My daughter is a college basketball player. Like, for her, if she has a daughter, like, it's going to mean a lot for her. Like, that's the level of thought that we
Yeah.
need. And as competitors, it's hard because that ego, boy, is something else. Because you're not neither side. Like, I'm not going to let go because if you're not going to do this, then forget it. That can't be the case. But there also can't be disrespect either. Like, there
Right.
has to be a level of respect. There has to be a level of understanding. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from the two voices that are having the conversation. But it has to be an understanding of the big picture of it all, the grand scheme of things. Going back to Vivian Stringer standing in the church house asking for a donation for sneakers to now, asking for a fair level of compensation.
That's
Where
the operative word. Just fair.
just fair,
Fair.
just fair. And we've been fighting for fair for a long time. And if it takes the fee fire to light things up,
I like that. Fee fire.
I'm saying, if it takes that to speed things up before Halloween, then so be it, so be it, because it just has to happen. The fact that it's Halloween is messing me up because I don't want it to be scary. It feels scary right now, and we're only 30 days away from that. It feels pretty scary.
Yeah,
But
I mean, but again, it has to be done. So we shall see what we shall see.
yeah, but also what we'll see, man. Listen, that game 5 last night. I'm glad you said you stayed awake for it, Helen, because man,
I'm paying for it right now, though. But yeah, I.
and it listen, I was screaming my face off last night watching that game for so many reasons. First of all, Stephanie White. I'm just going to start right there with her, and then we can talk about the game and all the other things. Steph White is a dog in terms of how well she prepares her team outside of injuries and all the things. She somehow, some way finds an idea and rides with it and convinces and pours into her team that this is what it's going to take to win. I don't care who's playing, but this is what we need to do. A, B, and C. Do this, and we have a chance. And boy, did they have a chance!
Woo!
Unthinkable. I mean, the unfathomable against the Las Vegas Aces in Game 5. in Las Vegas in a closeout game and a trip to the finals on the line. Are you kidding me? And took them to the brink. And not only that, Helen, Kelsey Mitchell, God bless her. If she didn't do
Yeah, that was so unfortunate, man, that she got hurt.
I
Gosh dang it.
the third quarter, what when you were watching it in the third quarter when Kelsey Mitchell unfortunately went out, they're saying it was like her legs just locked up on her and cramped up, and she had to get IVs at the hospital afterwards because she was just tapped out. I mean, she took every single bite out of the apple and squeezed all the juice out of the orange to the point that her body was just like, no. Like, but her mind was still in the moment and just trying to fight for the team. When you saw that happen to Kelsey Mitchell, what was your assessment of that moment?
Um, my heart sank for her. And then I was like, now everybody thinks that Vegas is gonna win for sure. And I'm like, no. Hello, Odyssey Sims,
Honestly,
who better be on a full season contract somewhere next year. Just took over. There's no Aaliyah Boston, there's no Kelsey Mitchell. And
yeah,
again, Stephanie White to me has been the X factor this whole season, having to pivot so many different ways, trying to figure out, all of your uh, consistent people obviously were Leah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, but
right.
to have so many different primary ball handlers and to still figure out how are we going to get Aaliyah Boston the ball? How are we going to get Kelsey Mitchell curling off these screens, coming to her strong side with all the changes that people are, the chess versus checkers. And I have to give her a lot of her and her staff, not just her. They were definitely the X factor. So when I saw that, I felt bad for Indiana, but I was like, based on what I've seen, they're not going to give up. And you look at like the previous days, and people are asking like Andrea Carter and all these pregame shows, like, who do you want? I mean, who do you think is going to win the game? And everybody was like me. I think I'm going to say Vegas based on past experience, but I really want to say Indiana based on just I love that they've played this underdog role so well, and I was just biting my fingernails the whole time. The last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and the overtime, and it was. Then I was like, oh, this is great for women's basketball.
Great. It was so great. And, Steph White is exactly what the game needs. I don't care if it's WNBA, NBA. I mean, Coach Carlisle, for the Pacers says, I watch the games and I learn so much by watching how Steph White unfolds a game plan for her team and how they execute it. So, I mean, just a ton of respect for Steph White. I mean, Caitlin Clark only played 13 games this season, shut down in July. Okay. And then the litany of injuries, just insane. And then Bonner leaving to go to Phoenix in the middle of all of that. So you're missing like pretty much 5 players who can start for your team. And then Bonner leaves and then all these things. I don't know. To me, it's a no quit, fiery, spirited mentality, full of passion. And when Kelsey Mitchell went out and Steph White said, look, we know what happened. You can feel it, but we got to go out here and show and prove for her. Like, I just thought that was masterful. And I think they played it twice just because it was such a life lesson in that. Like, things happen and you have to adjust. Are you going to sit in that wallowing moment where you're feeling bad? And like you said, how people are like, well, that's it for the Fever because there's no way they can come back after Mitchell going out, with her hot hand and her ability to score and create offense for them. And then she just poured into them in that moment because to me it sounded like self-talk. And I know a lot of athletes have the self-talk and they meditate and they think about how to perform and how to lock back into their true selves. But to me, it was like Steph White's self-talk was coming outside of her body when she was telling her team to stay where their feet are, feel the emotion of Kelsey Mitchell being out. But I think she was also convincing herself of that, which I thought was so beautiful in that chaotic moment.
Yeah, I mean, she's had a lot of stuff go on off the court too. So to be able to handle that, and she is now with Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell there, and the culture that everybody's seen that she's built,
Yeah.
that is now a destination place for free agents, right? Everybody's going to be 80% of the league is going to be free agent. Like, what places are they going to be thinking about? Oh, this would be a cool place to play.
Yeah.
Indiana, Golden State, like these are all places. Vegas, these are all places now that people want to go to.
Yep.
Phoenix, when they're looking at free agency next year. So
Mhm.
they were already a place where people wanted to go because of those three players. But now you see the culture she's built, and okay, they don't give up. Like they stay in every game. Yeah, I'd like to be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighters. I want to go and play with fighters. I want to go and play with people who dig in, even in the trenches like that when things aren't looking very good in terms of probability of winning. But there's always a chance when you fight. I don't care what play you run. I don't care
Yeah.
what defensive scheme you set up. If you don't do them hard, if you don't do them with some purpose on your cuts and your ability to cut somebody off from taking a cut, then it doesn't matter to me. So I just thought that there was so much beauty in that struggle in that game, and it just really was something to marvel at. And like you said, Aaliyah Boston fouling out in the fourth quarter. I mean, the third quarter you lose Mitchell, the fourth quarter you lose Boston, and then you still take a team like Las Vegas to the brink. And I just thought it was just mesmerizing. And to hear Steph White after the game saying, she was just grateful. I was like after
They're,
all,
they're, they're building. I mean, you when you win a championship, you've got to go through those moments where you don't quite get it done, so that you get that experience under your belt. And obviously, Vegas has won championships, so they know how to handle that. They've had veterans that know how to handle that situation. Been in that situation before. You
right,
watch next year; they'll take advantage of those and these little mistakes that they made. That won't happen next year. And assuming everybody's healthy, they'll be back.
right. And to hear in the post game presser also, I mean, obviously with Steph White saying, that she was grateful for all the things that happened because, it stretched her as a coach. Everyone always asks, like, what did you learn most about yourself this year? Right. And I think for her to say that I'm grateful after that, I mean, that's a question I always ask when I was coaching of the players, but I also ask it of myself, like, how was I stretched? And I love to hear from coaches in that way, like, what did you learn about yourself? And now for her to say, through all of the adversity and all of the injuries and all the things that went awry, being fined for doubling down on what Cheryl Reeves said, like all
Oh my God.
I know. Even with that, like she's grateful for all the things. So for me, it was. I mean, Steph White again. I mean, she can't do anything wrong for me. I mean, she's just like that. The game needs that level of spirit, that level of connectivity. And Kelsey Mitchell saying, she unlocked me and believed in me like no one else I've ever played for. Like that speaks volumes too, because she had a career
Sure.
fifth in MVP voting. Helen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and Kelsey's always been there. I'm so happy. I still don't think she got as much attention as she deserves, but I'm at least happy that she got way more than she's been getting. And she was there when things were not so good. And so to be able to experience the year that they've had was good for her.
Yeah, no doubt. And what was good for Las Vegas is the fact that they escaped Game Five in overtime, and are advancing to the finals for the third time in 4 years, with an opportunity to win another championship.
And
So,
everybody said they were out. Like, everybody got off the bandwagon. You and I'm gonna give us some kudos. We always said that
yeah,
they would be there in the end. We said
yeah.
they would get themselves together, and they did.
Talk to them, Helen. We did. Hey, listen, they started the season 12 and 13. Everybody's like, what's going on? They were 6 and 6. Okay. Chelsea Gray missed a handful of games at the beginning. I think she missed the first 12 games, maybe 11 or 12 games. But they went 6 and 6 to start out. And then 12 and 13. Everybody's like, dang, what's going on with them? Ninth in the league overall in the standings, the power rankings, and whatnot. And then busted out with 17 straight wins in a row and jumped to number two, and now they're 1, 2, whatever, the one, not the two, whoever wants to say they're number one, whatever. They have to wait until the finals are over after game 7 if it goes that far. But for them to be able to show and prove their experience, lock in on the defensive end. You heard that over and over by Asia Wilson talking to Holly Rowe last night in the game. What do you need to do? We need to lock in on defense. It's all about the defense. And that's what changed for Vegas when they went on that 17 game win streak. They got serious about their defensive discipline.
Yeah, they have periods where they go through what I call the cumulative my bad. So they have, periods where people are in transition and they just don't react very well to lateral movement to keeping people from getting downhill.
Yeah.
There's a lack of communication, not just on the primary break, but if you look at the secondary break, like if they don't have it right away, okay, they do a good job there, but then people are still in their, they're still in their motions for their secondary break. And Vegas sometimes just there's no communication there. So if you do something, it's your bad. If I do something, it's my bad. If the next person misses a rotation, that's her bad. So the cumulative impact of my bad on the defensive end is really where they struggle for certain periods of the time. And then also there's a cumulative effect of my bad where they just don't take care of the basketball either. So when they have both of those in a game, that's when they don't win. When they lock down on both of those, they take better care of the basketball and they lock in on defense, which are the most simplest things that you can do, but so hard to be consistent with.
Right, no doubt. And just see the discipline of the defense, especially in that overtime session. But the bucket making ability by both teams really in the overtime was I was just infatuated with it. I was like, oh my God. Like it was
like, we're not going home today. It was like you're in the park. It's like, oh no, we're not losing today. I'm not going over there and sitting and waiting for another 5 sets of games before I'm up again. I'm staying on this court.
That's exactly right. Oh my God, nothing worse than pickup games than being 4 or 5 games down, especially in the summertime. What? Don't take me back to that. Yes, but oh my God, but yeah, I mean, the fact that they were able to pretty much not only shut the door but lock it twice and get the job done. And Jackie Young, and she is just, I think, and I feel like I've said this 100 times on these podcasts, but she doesn't get talked about enough for what she is able to do. And I'm not just talking about her scoring prowess, which was off the chain, 30 whatever points she had.
Two-way player. Two-way player.
She's rebounding the ball like a 6'5" kid. Like she's out there flying in the air, getting to the glass and getting those extra possessions for the team. Like, I don't know, like we need to talk more about her. We need to talk more about her and what she has been able to do this season in particular, even in the absence of Chelsea Gray at the beginning with the injury, whatever. But then now it's like, why are we not? Why are we not talking about
she is she's like that person in an organization that you just take for granted until she's not there. Then you realize how much she means to your organization. Now, obviously, the people that are in that organization, they know. They're grateful, right? Becky's like, yeah, I never get mad at her. She always does what she's supposed to do. She comes up time and again. Because it's, again, they take her excellence for granted. And if for some odd reason she has an off night, you recognize how important she is. And Asia gets talked about, deservedly so. Sometimes people forget about the point guard, but she is, I think, the glue to that team. If she doesn't have a good game, there's not a whole lot of help sometimes for Asia, right? So, and I know Asia recognizes how important she is.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's why she had the entire team gathered around her in the post-game interview on the court. And, that was the togetherness that they needed on the defensive side, is what Asia Wilson said. And I love that.
Yeah.
Right? Always talks about the pretty stuff, right? The hoops and the assists, which are beautiful. And I love a great pass, especially when it's Chelsea Gray running the movie camera out there. I'm here for it. Don't sleep. But when you hear Asia Wilson's first assessment of advancing to the finals be about defense, that's when I was like, they're bought into that aspect of the game, carrying them through to possibly winning another title.
Well, I said on this podcast, the 5 things you need for winning a championship are coaching, a strong bench, healthy team, some defense, and some luck, right? And so they got a bunch of that last night.
Yeah, and they also have four-time MVP Asia Wilson going
Kinda
over.
helps, that kinda helps. You start with that, but I thought Asia was just more aggressive, yesterday than she has been, and which is weird to say because how can you score 30 points and not be aggressive? We're getting mad at her like, "Well, you had 30." Well, really, you should have 45 if you were more aggressive, but, she
Yeah,
was very intentional last night.
she was legit. And for me, I mean, the turnaround fader is always going to be my favorite shot. I don't care who's shooting it, but when Asia shoots it, I mean, she is just so methodically, fundamentally sound with her footwork, and her feet are so soft. And I told you I was mesmerized watching her warm up when they were
Yeah.
here. I was just like, I'm just gonna go and watch her, right? Just because, I mean, it was every movement was measured and calculated to the nth degree, and there was just such a flow and a rhythm to how she was able to, get to her spots and just go in a rhythm and get those shots up and in. And last night, she was showing and proving exactly why she does that every single game, because those are the reps. And when she gets in the game and, like you said, stays aggressive with it and plays with the force that she played with, and then on top of that, Helen knock in some threes. Stop playing with me, like Asia Wilson. It's going to be a great series, and I know she's going to have a lot of attention on her playing against Phoenix and everything like that, as she is with every team. I don't even know why I said that, but it's going to be a challenge for her, and maybe Phoenix is going to maybe rev up some different kinds of defensive schemes against her. What do you see in that matchup for the 7 game on deck finals that we are going to see on Friday?
Yeah, I think that Phoenix will change it up a lot, and it'll depend on who's in the game in terms of because Asia's always going to have more than one person. The question is it immediate? Is it off the dribble? Is it on the swing of the ball? Because you can't really leave players for Phoenix because they can shoot. So what does that mean for you? Do you dig down? Do you just go from that weak side? Do you trap? I don't know. Do you trap her and hopefully nobody sees her? Like, there's so many different ways that you can play
Right.
her, and so that experience that you were talking about, her being a vet, being 8 years, like she's seen everything, right? She's seen everything in the game. She's watched. She's obviously watched film. They beat Phoenix 3 out of 4 times, and so something was working, right? I printed out the stats. I haven't really gone through them yet, but they beat them 3 out of 4 times, and um, so there will be some interesting adjustments. It'll be a nice chess match between the coaches.
Yeah, and I can't wait for it. I mean, the way Phoenix got to the finals this year with Alyssa Thomas really just leading the charge in every single way, right? I just think it's going to be definitely an interesting battle. And I want to see how they're going to make those adjustments, and not necessarily like at the beginning of the game, but throughout the game. I want to
Right.
see that you're going to come with this. And, as coaches, this is what you do: you come with a game plan, and then they throw a monkey wrench into what you came to the game with, and now you're on the move mentally. But you also have to think about how you're going to react to those kinds of changes in game ahead of the game. And that's why, I love coaching, and I love, the dynamics and the mental gymnastics of that. But I just think it's gonna be fun to watch, just because, this is what we want to do, but they're gonna bring something to mess it up. So we have like 4 other options that we can bring to the table too. So that's why I love watching.
Yeah, I will say that they have to have her on the move. Like that's when she is
18.
most effective. Yeah, no, Asia. Like you have to. If you just leave her in one place as the block, like it doesn't work all the time depending on who you play. And then and At is so versatile and so smart, seeing 3 4 passes away. How are you gonna they're gonna have to mix it up playing against her as well, right? I think
Yeah,
they've been doing a really good job of, she sets a screen, people curl off of her. You're not gonna get you again, business decision whether you run into her or she runs into you. But Vegas is gonna have to have a lot of different looks with her as well. You can't just not play her from the 3 point line. Like you've gotta
yeah,
have some adjustments there too. So it'll be interesting and fun.
yeah. It's definitely gonna be fun, but it's just the force of her activity, right? When she gets a piece of the paint, that it just draws so much attention. from the opponents defensively, that now she can just strategize and make the proper pass. Obviously, led the league in assists, over 300 assists in 3 consecutive seasons for AT. I mean, and I think that goes understated for her, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's forced to the rim or rim runs and whatever, straight line drives to the cup. I get it. But let's not sleep on when the defense does collapse on those kinds of actions and what she's able to see. Like her quickness of awareness in terms
Basketball IQ.
that's the big deal for me with her.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait. Like it's gonna be. I kind of hope it goes 7 games,
I
just like so we can have another game like we had last night.
yes, Lord. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. I know we're clicking. I know B Mac's probably like we tapping on the watch. B Mac, I know you're tapping on the watch. But listen, Helen, what else is up with you? I know the college basketball season is
It's
right.
almost here, man. It's I'm gonna be like you. I'll be doing media day for the West Coast Conference and the Mountain West here in another couple weeks,
Okay.
and trying to get my roster sheets together. Although still, you just kind of don't know. But I'm gonna try and do my templates.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really difficult task the last couple of years with the transfer portal. Portaling
Yeah,
is
I don't even bother anymore. I used to do it during the summer. I just wait until the end of October, beginning of November.
have to. I mean, in this climate, that's what you have to do. But yeah, I was at the A10 Media Day yesterday, and I was in studio.
How was that? Tell me about what St. Joe's said and George Mason, because I did their 2 of their games last year, and George Mason, gosh, Vanessa did a phenomenal job, and then St. Joe's, they've lost Laura Siegler to Louisville, so I'm going to be curious as to how they're going to be.
Yeah, I was in DC. They were up in Pittsburgh. It's the 50th anniversary for the A10 conference, which I thought was a beautiful thing. But it was really intriguing to hear from all the coaches. I'm going to start with Richmond. I'm not going to go through everybody, but Richmond obviously beating Georgia Tech out at Pauley Pavilion at UCLA, and then
Another team that does the Princeton offense, which I love.
yes, check it out, and it's like slow cuts, right? Paper cuts, just slow cutting. But it's all five of them moving on a wheel, and it's Maggie Dugan. I mean, she is just I
Yeah.
don't. I had those games out there in LA, and they gave UCLA a huge fight, especially in that first half. But they're going to be a team to contend with, only returning 3 players, but Maggie's one of them. So good luck with
There you go.
a toughie. But to your point with St. Joe's and George Mason, I mean, St. Joe's obviously everyone's kind of in a rebuild, and I think that's what we got. I mean, we did all 14 women's teams, but also all 14 men's teams, and it was kind of like a consensus. Like every team had either 3 or 7. One team had 10 players out of the portal. I mean, it's like to me,
That's how it's going to be now. It's going to be a constant. I
yeah,
don't even say rebuilding. It's a constant restructuring of teams every year.
absolutely. And for me, I mean, one of them had 14. I believe it was a men's team, and I was like 14 new guys
Wow.
portal. And I mean, as a coach, like, God, I mean, it's a pot of clay to work with. I get it, but man, you have about 5 minutes to get it together. Like, that's a
Yeah.
lot. But with St. Joe's, I think they're going to go ahead and get that pot of clay going as well. But there's got to be a lot of restructuring on the defensive side, and I think that's what I took from St. Joe's. Like, it's going to
Okay.
be on how they defend and different kinds of variations of what they're going to present side and the iterations that they can go with. So I get that. But for George Mason, they had a lot of turnover as well, but they are very young. They took a trip to Spain, and I think that obviously always helps when you can play
Oh
through the
yeah. Usually teams play pretty well when they have that overseas trip in the summer.
yeah, and because you're spending time not just hooping, you're spending time at restaurants, you're seeing new environment. And she said this in this way, like when you take kids to Disney, it's like it's not all about the roller coasters and the fun, it's about the connectivity. And so she said, we went to Spain and we did play 3 games, but it was about the connectivity that we were able to glean from one another. And Vanessa's my cousin, so I had to shout that out. Cousin. So she was really excited, as she should be, about believing big 2.0. Like believing big, she said, was lazy. She said, we need to believe big 2.0. We need to be
I
like
like it.
she called out every player's name, and she was like, she called it twice. She's like, this player needs to be this. Za, you need to be this. And Za, you need to be that. Like she was just like double down on who you are, I think was like her main focal point, which I thought was a beautiful way to unfold that for us. But it was really fun to get to know a lot of those coaches too, but also get to hear about how they want to approach this clean slate on the collegiate level. And then next week I have the Big Ten Media Day on the middle of the week in Chicago, and that's going to be fun too to hear all the different iterations of rosters too with all the change. But I mean, I think that's across the board.
Yeah.
I think that's across the board throughout the country in that regard. But it's going to be fun. But I was pleased to hear from those players and coaches yesterday in the A10. So I know the Mountain West is going to be fun out there. It's in Vegas, right?
It's in Vegas, baby.
It's not,
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's going to be so awesome. I can't wait to watch you do that and rock and roll and do your thing. And I know we're probably in different places throughout the collegiate season, but I don't know when we're going to be back in rotation on the pods. I hope it's before the college basketball season starts, but if not.
Yeah, we just need to do a college basketball preview. That's what we need to do. Make it happen, BMAC. Make it happen.
I know, let's go. But no, if I don't see you or hear from you podcast wise, safe travels to you, my friend. And just
you too.
Have fun with it. And stay prayerful for the the CBA and the WNBA and all the things, but the utilization of your voice is always very necessary. Always very necessary. So that's what I was talking to my daughter about yesterday. It was her birthday. Happy birthday, Bree. She's celebrating her 22nd birthday yesterday, which I can't even believe. So anyway, I had to give her a little birthday shout out. But we were talking about that. And it's important, right? For her, right? To see somebody utilize their voice like Fee, but that also gives them permission to utilize their voice in the same way, right? And not necessarily to say the same thing, but to utilize their voice and their perspective in that same way with that same level of freedom. So I think that is the main thing that we learned from the Fee Fire that we
the Fee Fire, absolutely the Fee Fire.
Buzz, baby. Oh my gosh, well, Helen, thank you so much for your time, my friend. And
always.
Then later. Oh my God, BMAC. Thank you so much for producing, as always, in an excellent way, right here on the Her Hoop Stats podcast. For Helen Williams, I'm Christy Winters Scott, and we'll see you next time.